Okay, your name is Sujawal Jagga. So what's the meaning of
Yes,
this name, Sujawal?
sir. Sujawal, Su stands for Acha, Ja means Jana, and Wal means Rasta. So it stands for a person who goes on to the right path. अच्छे रास्ते पे जाने वाला.
Okay, so who kept your name?
Sir, my mother and my parents, to be very specific.
That's a good name. And
Thank you, sir.
Sujawal, you have done your graduation from Open Learning School, right?
Yes, yes, sir.
And then side by side, you did your CA course of CA.
Yes, sir.
So it was a remarkable achievement, and you did CA at such a young age. So why you want to move from your profession of CA to civil services? Because you have joined CA at such a good young age, and you can do wonders in your field.
Sir, the passion to serve and be in civil services was there from the beginning, from the childhood only. But due to certain family conditions and the financial constraints, I could not take up civil services right at the outset. Besides, there was some skepticism in family also. So I pursued CA, had 3 to 4 years of experience, accumulated decent financial savings so that I do not become a burden on my family. And then I plan to take a plunge into the civil services. Besides, I believe that I had acquired the required skill set, and my conviction to work in the civil services had also grown stronger, having experienced the private sector. So I planned to work in civil services.
So you worked as an assistant manager finance in OYO room, right? And you
Yes,
are getting a very good salary. So you left the job. Why?
yes, sir. Sir, my heart lied in the civil services only. Working in OYO or in PwC was a means to actually acquire financial independence to pursue civil services. So those were the means to be in civil services and not where my heart lied.
Mhm. Okay. So your preference is civil service.
Yes, sir.
Suppose you are appointed as a SDM of a particular district, SDM in a particular district. What will be your
Yes.
priority?
Sir, my priorities will depend upon the specifics and the prevailing situation of that specific district. If I take example of my own district, that is Fazilka, so it has border with Pakistan, and it is in southwest part of Punjab. The major problems of my district revolve around the cleanliness, the rising trend of gambling and drug abuse in youth, and the immigration exodus, which is actually in Punjab, but in Fazilka it is very high. So my priorities will revolve around addressing this issue, which will be based on two pillars. First will be of education, and second will be working around the economics. So education in the long run will help to inculcate the specific skill set and autonomy in youth to take up constructive endeavors in future. And working in economics includes working in the social sector and undertaking cleanliness campaigns so that we can have a bright future for our district.
ਅੱਛਾ ਸੁਜਾਵਲ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਇਹ ਲੱਗਦਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਿ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਜੇ ਪੀਸੀਐਸ 'ਚ ਸਿਲੈਕਟ ਹੋ ਗਏ ਤਾਂ ਤੁਹਾਡਾ ਸਾਰਾ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਪਿੱਛੇ ਐਕਸਪੀਰੀਅੰਸ ਹੈ ਸੀਏ ਵਾਲਾ ਉਹ ਬੇਕਾਰ ਜਾਏਗਾ ਸਾਰਾ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਸਕਿੱਲ ਤੁਸੀਂ
No,
ਐਕਵਾਇਰ
sir.
ਕੀਤੀ ਹੈ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਸਕਿੱਲ 8 ਨੂੰ 4 5 6 ਸਾਲ ਐਕਵਾਇਰ ਕੀਤੀ ਹੈ ਉਹ ਖਰਾਬ ਹੋ ਜਾਏਗੀ
Sir, rather I believe that the experience I have acquired will actually help me in delivering my services better in the field of SDM. So, for example, I have had some brief stints in Brazil and Japan also. So, working with different sets of people, different stakeholders coming from different background has imparted in me the confidence and the importance of building consensus and undertaking stakeholder consultation before executing a policy, which is very important for success. Besides, sir, Punjab today has a debt of around 45% of GSDP, that is around 2 lakh crores. So Punjab needs civil servants who, besides having the requisite skill set, also have expertise in economics and finance, so that we can also turn around the finances as soon as possible.
Okay. So you will be interested in all services, the preference you have felt. Would you be inclined to join employment officer also?
Yes, sir. Whatever the state wants me to serve in, and as per my required skill set, I will be more than happy to deliver my part.
Mhm. Okay. So your area of interest is international relations. है ना? One of your area of interest is international relations.
Yes, sir. I follow international relations. I believe that the international relations directly or indirectly influence the domestic policies and the domestic affairs of a state also. So these are imperative for a civil servant to know about them.
See, it is in foreign policy. It's always said that there are no permanent friends. There are no permanent enemies.
Yes.
Can you cite any one example of each in India's international relations in the last 10 years,
Sure, sir.
where there is shift?
Sir. Yes, sir. Sir, I believe the largest shift we have witnessed is in terms of United States, wherein it was very specifically pointed out by our former Prime Minister, by our present Prime Minister also, that when he said that we have overcome the hesitation of past.
Now,
In 1971, we had a very big.
second example.
Sorry, sir.
Second example.
Okay, sir. In terms of enemies, I believe. Sir, I'm not able to recall specifically, but in terms of Israel-Palestine, we never had a very open relationship with Israel. But in the last 10 years, we have seen that India has maintained a very tight rope. India has been walking a very tight rope between Israel and Palestine, and has moved from idealism to realism.
Okay. Hmm. Okay. Now, is there any relevance of look east policy nowadays?
Sorry, sir, I was not able to hear you.
Is there any relevance of look east policy nowadays? Look east policy in international relations.
Yes. Yes, sir. It's extremely relevant, sir. Sir, Lucas policy revolves around the Korean Peninsula, Japan, to be very specific. We have close relationship, strategic partnership with Japan, and we have close relationship with South Korea also. In fact, Japan is part of Quad, and Japan has also been investing in India, for example, in bullet train. And we are also developing Asia Africa Growth Corridor. In terms of South Korea, we share the common culture in terms of Buddhism, and we are also cooperating in fields of defense, like we are developing the K9 Vajra missiles. So Lucas policy is also important from the prism of China also, since China has disputes with Japan. So naturally, Japan becomes our close ally.
Okay. But the kind of vigor we had 15 years back, now that vigor is lacking when it comes to initiatives of the government to look east. Rather, now our orientation is more global rather than targeting or preferring particular regions. Do you agree with this?
Sir,
Now India is
I believe.
now India is trying to project itself as one of the major players in the world, rather than because that was a phase, and India did a lot to improve relations with Eastern countries. Now we are having a global orientation. Do you agree?
Sir, the fact that we have started having a global orientation and we want to project ourselves as a net security provider in Indo-Pacific, or pushing our case for a UNSC permanent seat is, yes, I acceptable that we are pushing for a global orientation and we want a seat at the high table. But in the also that it does not mean that we have taken our focus away from Act East, or we have lacked the vigor or rigor for our Japanese and Korean or Eastern partners. In fact, we have been railing very close with Japan and Korea if we see in that the Quad is actually an initiative of Japan in 2006.
Japan generally doesn't fall into. It's more of Far East type of thing, and when we talk of look East policy, we talk more in terms of ASEAN countries.
Southeast Asia.
Southeast Asia mostly.
Yes, sir. Sir, for Southeast Asia also we have had the FTA in around 2000s. Yeah, I agree that the recent pullout from RCEP, Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership, might be taken as India's stance away from Southeast over the lack of rigor. But I believe that comes from an economic and strategic perspective of not allowing China to exploit our markets. But if we see in the last in the 5 to 7 years, rather India's engagement with ASEAN has deepened, specifically from the
सुजावल एक गल दसो तुसीं मतलब पंजाब तो हूं कोई पंजाब दे 3 सोशल प्रॉब्लम्स दसो.
Sir, first one is the immigration. I believe it's the big issue, immigration, that the people who are youth are leaving Punjab. Second is drug abuse. And third, sir, in my opinion, third problem of Punjab is the Dera culture, that we are moving away from the institutionalized religions or the rational behind the religion, and we are following some the specific Deras or the godmens which have propagated into our state.
Sex ratio ਨੂੰ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਪ੍ਰੋਬਲਮ ਮੰਨਦੇ ਨਹੀਂ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਬੜੀ?
Sorry sir,
low sex ratio ਹੈਗੀ ਪੰਜਾਬ ਚ, ਉਹ ਬੜੀ ਪ੍ਰੋਬਲਮ ਹੈ?
Yes sir, yes sir.
ਕਿਉਂ sex ratio ਘੱਟ ਹੈ ਪੰਜਾਬ?
Sir, it flows from multiple factors. First one being that we inherently, India is a patriarchal society, which gets manifested in Punjab also, which is responsible for low sex ratio. Secondly, sir, we are an agrarian economy, wherein generally we believe that the land and the resources should get transferred from one generation to another. And third, sir, the rising dowry issue, wherein parents believe that that the women or the female child is taken as a burden. So we have those major 3 reasons which get manifested into low sex ratio or the female feticides.
Any other specific reason typical to Punjab?
Sir, typical to Punjab. Sorry, sir, I am not able to recall any other specific reason. I'll definitely go back and look into it.
Okay. Have you read today's newspaper?
Sorry, sir.
Have you read today's newspaper?
I'm not. I couldn't get you, sir.
Have you read today's newspaper?
Yes, sir. I have read, sir.
What are the headlines?
Sir, headlines. First one was related to US Secretary of State Anthony Blinken visiting the Middle East and our external affairs minister being in US, undertaking negotiations with the US counterparts and the vaccine manufacturers. Secondly, that a wrestler, Mr. Sushil Kumar, has been arrested and he was taken to the specific crime scene. Third was related to, sir, appointment of new CBI chief, Mr. Jaiswal.
He comes from which service?
Sir, he is an IPS officer of 1985 batch.
Where is presently posted?
Sir, he is Director General of CISF, Central Industrial Securities Force.
And what is the name of the outgoing CBI director?
Sir, from February, the post of CBI director was vacant.
Okay. That's right. Okay, thank you, Sujawal. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir.
Remain online.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.